Welcome to my channel. My name is Juan Tejada and I'm a student of all major religion. In this video, you're going to see Joe Rogan debate Matt Walsh on marriage, same-sex marriage. He's going to give his Christian perspective of what he believes marriage is supposed to be. And throughout the video, I'll give you my thoughts. Let's get into it.
The Joe Rogan experience.
I think of marriage is a certain thing, which is the context for procreation, for the building of the nuclear family.
What about people that get married that don't have kids? Are you opposed to that? What if they get married, they decide, you know what, we don't need kids, I'm going to get fixed. You get your tubes tied, let's travel the world.
Well, what do you mean am I opposed to it? I mean, I think that every married couple should be open to life.
But what if they don't want to? Are you opposed to them being married? If marriage is only for procreation and to bond a family together, what about people that are deeply in love that never want to have children?
I don't think it's not only procreation, but that is one of the fundamental definitional aspects of it. Of course, there's more to marriage just than that.
And what about people that are infertile? They fall in love and they realize that they can have babies and they don't really necessarily want to adopt. Is that okay for them to be married? Because then by definition, marriage falls into a completely different thing, because then it's a bond of love. It's a union of love.
Sure. I mean, that doesn't change the nature of marriage, though. It's a little bit like I say that what's the definition of a woman? Well, a woman is someone who by her nature can conceive children in her womb and bear children. And then the response is always, well, what about women who are infertile? Does that destroy your definition of woman? And it doesn't, because it's still a woman's nature to bear children. Not every woman will, and there will be disease and infertility and old age and all these things that will preclude that, but it's still of her nature to do so. And I would say the same thing for marriage. I mean, it is natural in a marriage for procreation to occur. It's not always going to happen in reality, though, but that's still one of the natural functions of marriage. And married couples who can't conceive children, there are other ways to be parents, like adoption, for example.
If they want to. Right.
Sure.
But if people want to be married and don't want to ever have children, are you opposed to them being married?
Well, I wouldn't advocate a law that would prevent it.
But would it change the definition of what their marriage is to you because they don't want to have a family? They just want to have a loving bond?
I think this would be a couple that is rejecting one of the fundamental aspects of marriage, and that they should be open to life. I would hope that in the future they would be, but
isn't that just a personal choice? I mean, you can have a very fulfilling life if you just follow your pursuits and your dreams and your interests, and you find someone that shares those interests with you and you share time together. It's very fulfilling and loving.
Yeah, it's a personal choice, and that I'm not advocating for like a law that says that you if you're married you have to have X number of kids.
But then why are you opposed to two gay people doing that?
Well, because again, it's not about choice. It's about what this institution, marriage is an institution, and what is it, and what purpose does it serve?
So as he says, it's not about choice. It's about, what's marriage about? Well, let's go back to marriage in Mesopotamia thousands of years before Christ. Well, they were allowing same-sex marriage because they allow free choice. Now, it shows that marriage has changed throughout history. We look at the ring. The ring was added by Egyptians and Greeks. That wasn't part of the ceremony. We didn't have witness when people were getting married. We didn't have a priest. So yes, marriage has changed. The purpose of marriage, the ceremony, how we go about marriage. So it should be about choice, because it shouldn't be just about procreation, because we are supposed to create laws for people, the institution, or these kind of ceremonies, and allow people to use it for whatever they want to use it, not for whatever you think that it should be used for.
I do not agree with tearing down or changing this definition, especially because the people who have changed the definition haven't come up with a new one. So they say, well, that's not what marriage is. So for thousands of years, we said marriage is the procreative union. And then we had the other side that came along and said, well, it's not that. Okay, well then, like, what is it exactly? And I know you said, well, it's people who love each other. Two people love each other. Well, but then why two people? Why do they have to love each other? All these kinds of questions. You get into what if they're in the same family? What if brothers and sisters want to marry?
Well, brothers and sisters actually marry in the Bible. And Abraham actually acknowledges that in the Bible when he says that he married his half-sister Sarah. Now, Abraham wanted to find a wife for his son. And he didn't want to find a wife in the land of Canaan because he's prejudiced. He don't like those people. He said, let's go back to my land and find people in my own family. So he finds a wife for Isaac in his own family. We do have incest in the Bible. Now, even to today, we have states, Alabama, one of them, there's many states that allow cousins to marry. So can you marry in the same family legally to this day? You actually can.
Brothers and sisters want to marry. And I know every time that comes up, the advocates for gay marriage will say, well, that's a slippery slope argument. That's a fallacious. But it's actually not. It's like we're trying to get to what do you even think this institution is now, since you've rejected out what we were saying it was. And I've never found a compelling definition. And any definition offered, it's like, well, what's even the point then? Why do we even need this now?
I just don't see how a gay marriage in any way damages a straight marriage. I don't see it at all. It doesn't make any sense to me. It just seems to me that people want to be look, if you wanted to look at logic, especially in our modern society, which is pretty fucked when it comes to relationships, it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 50% of all marriages end in divorce anyway. They don't make it. I don't know if anything would damage marriage and damage the institution of marriage is the option of divorce. I don't think gay people getting married in any way, shape, or form changes a bond that you have with your wife. It's just called marriage. It's a human invented thing. If we decide that gay people can get married too, I just don't see how it damages anything. I don't think it tears down the definition of marriage in any way. It just opens up the possibility that people who are gay won't be discriminated against.
Yeah, I don't think that a gay couple existing directly impacts. There's a gay couple in wherever, and I'm with my wife in our house. Like obviously,
right.
There's not. But I'm not talking about on the individual level. I'm talking about on the societal level.
Right.
I would agree that. Divorce, especially, this no-fault divorce, rampant divorce. I don't think it's as high as 50%. I know that's often quoted. I'm not sure where that comes from, but it is high. It's too high. And
Chris Rock has a great joke about that. He said those are just the people with the courage to get out. He's like, how many cowards stay?
But it's also true that the advocates for what we call now traditional marriage, which I just call marriage, but the advocates for traditional marriage put themselves at a disadvantage by especially in the churches, like allowing this rampant divorce to occur, and then you've already sort of given up on some marriage is supposed to be monogamous and permanent, as well as procreative. Well, you've given up monogamy and permanence, and so now it's not. That's two of the three legs gone, and so now this assault was waged on the procreative part of it.
Monogamy wasn't there in the beginning because we have Isaac who had multiple wives. We had Abraham who had multiple wives and actually had kids with Hagar and had a kid named Ishmael with a slave. So Isaac, Abraham, Jacob, they were having sex and kids with multiple people. They actually didn't follow your definition of marriage in the Bible. And you're a Christian, so we're supposed to follow the Bible. So this is where the contradiction comes in. If you just read the book of Genesis, the first book in the Bible, you'll see that how marriage was conducted during those times, apparently according to the Bible, and how it's being conducted today is two very different things. My opinion is that people should be allowed to use marriage for whatever they want to. If you enjoyed the video, like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.